It's been a while, hasn't it? Yes, it has. Well, welcome to the Hungry Bleek podcast. I am the aforementioned Hungry Bleek. I am Antonio Pomares, and it's been a while. It's been a little bit longer than what I expected. The title of this episode is While I Was Away. I'm going to explain why I was away for longer than what I expected. First off, I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you are comfortable. I hope you are safe. Mandates have been lifted, restrictions are lifted. COVID is still out there, but the world feels a little more open, a little more accessible, let's say. Still be safe. Obviously, let's still wash our hands just because we're human beings. Let's wash our hands. I still do wear a mask because I just started liking it. I'm gonna be honest with you. And also, I haven't been like sick since I've been wearing the mask. I haven't had like a flu or people coughing all over the place. I haven't gotten any germs from anyone. I'm gonna keep wearing the mask for a while. I'm gonna be honest with you. Jet black mask. I mean, cool. If I can buy some like cool purple ones, obviously, got on the leather. Excuse me, not leather. That's another episode. The purple heather tea today kind of looks a little bit lavenderish, but I'm liking it. I'm digging it. I'm loving it. Yeah. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope you've all been reading amazing things, drinking water, taking your vitamins, taking care of yourselves mentally and physically, taking your meds regularly, always. So I took a bit of a break in at the end of November. I'm going to take a break of December, then come back January strong, refreshed and anew. Well, sometimes life takes turns and things happen. And about maybe in late December, my mother fell ill. Thought she was feeling okay, except for like a sinus infection. Couldn't really shake. She was just very tired and sore. One day she went to the hospital and she said, "Oh, I'm going to stay overnight. They want to run some tests." I said, "All right, okay, cool. All right, you need me to bring anything?" Her, as always, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I said, "Okay, cool." Then next day, "Hey, how you doing?" "I'm doing all right. No, they're still taking tests, whatever. I don't like the food. Obviously, my mother's not going to like the food. The only food that she approves of is her own. It's the only food that she approves of." Uh, okay, cool. The next day, I said, "Look, I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna bring you your charger for your phone." She goes, "Yeah. Can you bring me a couple other things?" I said, "Okay, cool, fine." Brought her a couple other things. She said that they started her on dialysis. That it was her kidneys were really acting up. They were bad. Unfortunately, my mother's side of the family, we got the crap end of the kidneys uh, roll of the dice. Didn't get the best ones. I had my own troubles with kidneys, as I have said, documented. Um, Mine were jump started, unfortunately, because of the work that I was doing and damn near killing myself working for the job that I had at the time um, at Toys R Us. So I went through dialysis. I went through it for about 3 weeks. I was lucky to be off of it. I still have the scar that reminds me. So she was doing dialysis. So I said, okay. And I went to see her, to give her a charger and everything like that. And she was so sick. I'm transparent, folks. This isn't going to be the usual geek episode, obviously, but it's to explain why I was away because I want you to know. I want you to see where my head is at from this point on. And she was just very sick. She looked so small in the bed. And when I went, she was in dialysis. So I went in a room. She had a roommate was there, and I was like, "Oh, she's not here." She goes, "Oh, she's in dialysis." I was like, "Okay, thank you." So I cleaned up her room a little. I cleaned up her half of the room a little bit for her, situated her bed, and tried to fix her sheets a little bit. Then I sat and I read, um, and I was just enjoying the book. Uh, I'm reading, and maybe an hour and a half or so, she comes back in the room, and she's like, "Oh, hey," and I said, "Yeah, hey, how are you?" And she comes in, she's so small. She looks so small in that bed. My mother's a small woman to begin with. She's about maybe 5 foot. She's maybe 100 pounds. Maybe. I don't know. She was so small. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, hey, and her speech is a bit slurred and she's a little out of it. And I know that can happen with dialysis because it happened with me. Dialysis, it drains you. You're literally taking the blood out of your body. It's cycling it through a machine and they're putting it back in. So yeah, it's literally draining, figuratively and literally draining. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so sick. And I'm like, are you okay? And right, get your phone, put your phone on charge and everything. And she couldn't walk. She had a bit of a stumble when she was in the hospital. She couldn't walk, and her motor functions were all over the place, and she was bad. It was bad. Turns out that there was fluid around her heart as well that was causing issues. So I started going to visit her every day that I could. I'd go after work. I'd go on days off, um, to go see her and take care of her and bring her things and make sure she was okay, sit with her while she watched TV and help feed her. Um, I was the first day I was feeding her broth. It's the only thing that she would eat because she wouldn't eat anything else. Her appetite was gone. Couldn't eat anything. And this went on for about 2 weeks. No, about 2.5 weeks. She was in the hospital. Then they moved her to a rehab center. Um, so she can get better. She was better at it. She's still doing dialysis. They didn't have to. They thought they were going to have to give her a stent for her heart. They didn't, which is a great thing, a good thing. They went to do it, didn't have to. But they did give her a long-term port for her dialysis, which bruises her arm up, unfortunately. But she'll be having the other port that's in her chest taken out soon, which is great. That first night I saw her, I came out of the hospital and started crying. Started crying. Just started crying. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Started crying. Just started crying and crying and crying. Got home, had something to eat. Sitting there, I barely have an appetite, but I have to eat. I know I have to eat. I'm just crying my head off. So angry at myself and angry that I didn't, you know, make her exercise more or that I wasn't as strict as I should have been with her diet and everything. And I just blamed myself. And I was just so upset about her being in there. And I hated the fact that she was going through the pain that I went through with kidneys. And I was angry at myself. And I was just so angry. I was just so angry. So she gets into the rehab center and still can't walk. Her legs, she's able to move them, but not very much because of the draining and everything that's happening. It takes a lot out of you. Laying in a bed, you think, oh, it's going to be cool. No, you lay in a bed for about 2.5 weeks and it drains you. It takes everything out of you. You don't think it's going to happen that you will lose muscle, you will lose weight, you will lose your appetite, you will everything. It's gone like that. It's incredible how quickly you can lose it, like how long it takes you to gain muscle and such like that, and your weight back, and how quickly you can lose it just like that. It's incredible, and not in a good way. So she's in the rehab center. She's still doing dialysis, and I'm going to see her there. And she's feeling a bit better. She's got a little bit more of her appetite. She's got a little more uh, autonomy there. Um, and as I'm going, COVID is always still a thing. When during the hospital, I was only able to visit her about, God, maybe about 3 or 4 times, because at a certain point they stopped, because a new variant had came in, so I couldn't go to the hospital to see her. And I just cried because I couldn't see my mother, and she missed out on Christmas. Not that I'm a big holiday person, but it means something to her. She missed out on Christmas. She missed out on my birthday, and I know it hurt her so much. And she missed being in the kitchen and cooking the food and everything, doing her usual thing of being my mother, being this black woman who just wants to do what she wants to do, you know. And I was in the room with her that day, and I was crying. I was like, "We're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this." And I kissed her forehead, and she started crying a little bit. She's like, "I never thought this would happen to me." I was like, "We never do until it does." And then when she was in the rehab center, they were allowing guests, which is great. So I took COVID tests every time I went there, or like maybe like once a week. I would take COVID tests when I got there because I had COVID tests. So I would take them, make sure I was good. Great. Not that I went anywhere, except for work and to go grocery shopping, like maybe once in a while. Um, and it was good. And I remember being when she was in the hospital. I apologize for hopping back and forth. When she was in the hospital and I was on the phone with her, I started crying. She's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." And she's like, "Why are you saying I'm sorry?" I was like, "I'm sorry that you're going through the pain that I went through. I didn't want you to go through this pain." And I felt like it was my fault. Like, because I got through what I got through, it was like fate, destiny, the universe balancing the scales somehow and putting my mother through that pain. And I felt like everything was my fault. And if you know me and you know me well enough, you know that's my usual thing is I'll take on the weight of everything. And if it doesn't work out, I'll blame myself and I'll take all the responsibility. If it works out, hey, this person did it. I've done a lot of that, and it's something I'm trying to work myself through and deal with. And when she got out of the hospital and got home, and she used a rollator. If you don't know what a rollator is, if you've ever seen someone out and it looks like a walker, but it has wheels on the back, has like a seat. That's a rollator. It's so they can use that, and if they get tired, they can put brakes on and they can sit down. And underneath there's like a little bag where they can put like their phone or a hat if they have one, like a little bags underneath where they can put stuff on there where the seat will actually close over it. But if you've been out and you've been to, like, say, like a park or a mall, anything like that, like you grocery stores, like, you've seen them, and so someone can still walk, but they can sit if they need to rest. Um, yeah, it's like, yeah, it looks like a walker, but with a seat and wheels on the back of it. So she's using that, and she's having a physical therapy. And seeing her walk the first time, I started crying. I didn't let her know I was crying because I was wearing a mask. So the mask has been really clutch for hiding tears um, when I've been upset, and I was upset and cried a lot over December and January, and it was just a rough time. She came home, and I cried again. When she came home, I went outside to get something, and I just started crying outside. I didn't want her to see me cry. I was crying because I was happy that she was home. I was crying because she was safe and I can take care of her and do whatever I can for her. Not that the hospitals and obviously the rehab center didn't know what they were doing. Obviously they do. That's their thing. They went to school for how long? They trained for how long? That's their thing. But making sure that she's more comfortable. There's little creature comforts at home that that you get that you don't get in a hospital or such like that. And you know, and 99% of my time is her. 1% of my time has been me, and the other percent has been work. So I didn't read a lot. So I wasn't reading a lot, and there have been so many comics that came out. I didn't read a lot, and I haven't been watching a lot of TV because I've been focusing on her. Excuse me. And There hasn't been a lot of sleep either, as you can tell from that 5'10" size yawn. And just being with her has been my priority. But while she was away, and she was uh, being cared for at the hospital, my fandom initiative partner, Michael, and I said, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And he was like, "Nothing." I was like, "Hey, man, you got like some time? Do you want to do an impromptu uh, show about Spider-Man No Way Home?" Because I was able to see that one day. I told my mother, I said, "Look, I just need a day just to," and she was like, "No, you rest, you rest. You're working, and sometimes you're up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're resting, and you know you have to go to work. You do this, and you're trying to rest, but you're not really resting because I know that you're worried about me, and you're coming here, and you're doing work, and your work is, and I have a physical job. I don't get to sit at my job. I'm standing, I'm lifting something that can be 5 pounds to something that can be 30 to 50 pounds. I'm lifting between 5 and 50 pounds. There's no in between, folks. That's it. So my job is physical." And she's like, no, take that and go ahead and watch the movie. And I went to the movie and I was just sitting there and I'm comfortable. And I called her before I went to the movie. Then I called her after I got out of the movie because I wanted to make sure she was okay. But she was saying, she was like, "Oh, good." She was like, "Oh, how's the movie?" And she was like, and her speech was slurred still. Her speech was so slurred. There was so much. So much was on my mind at the time. But I was able to do it, and we had the show, and it was so therapeutic for me and for Michael. And a few people were like, "Thank you so much for doing this," because we did it on Christmas Eve because I had nothing going on. Um, a friend of mine, my brother, honestly, um, my friend Al and his sister Angie, their whole their family, who have been my second family, the most amazing people ever. I owe so much to them, so much to them. Um, I'm not going to cry on the podcast. I absolutely refuse to cry. Um, uh, they invited me out to dinner on Christmas Day. I said, "Yeah, I'll probably go." Then I was thinking about it, and I couldn't go with my mother being in the hospital and not being able to see her. And I said, "I thank you so very much for inviting me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But I can't go. I'm not going to feel right. I just can't. I can't because I'll start crying in the middle of my fried rice. You can't cry on fried rice. I mean, I guess you could. It would be like clear soy sauce, but it's not the same. You can't do that. You can't do it." So I did the show with Michael. Great time, wonderful. And I was home for a few days after that because of work. I was just home, and the people at work were amazing. They actually, they knew that my mother was in the hospital, and they knew that I was having a really rough time. Not that I show emotion at work. I don't. I barely talk. If you get a paragraph out of me in a week, you're lucky. Um, they sent me like 3 days worth of food from Olive Garden, and I was so appreciative. I was like, "Wow!" And they're like, "Did you get the food?" I was like, "Yes, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was awesome to do." Um, and as of now, she's getting, but she's still doing dialysis. She's actually at dialysis now. That's why I'm doing the show. If I was feeling I was feeling up to it. I was feeling mentally strong to do this because it's something different for me to do the fandom initiative with Michael because it's we're able to bounce off of each other. It's two people, or we've had some guests, and I've gotten back to doing the show. But this is something different because this is me. This is all me. This is me laying a lot more of myself bare to you. So this was a little more strenuous for me to do because I knew I was gonna do this episode. Now I did an episode before this where it was myself and three Destiny fans, gamers, Fire Team Excellence, as I like to call us. We're not a clan, but we are friends in real life and outside. I'm actually one of them is actually my cousin, my primo. So that was a great thing to do, and it was very therapeutic and fun. And we talked about Destiny too, something different, something outside of comics, gaming, because I did a lot. I played a lot of Destiny, too, when my mother was out. It was my self care playing Destiny, and it was something that I could do physically, and I could let off my stress and my tension, and it was easier than reading. Um, Reading was more difficult to me. I just because it was sitting in silence, kind of like, you know what I mean. So yeah, so we've gotten back to doing fan initiative, but this one was going to be a bit more difficult. I knew, and I wanted to be transparent. I wanted to say why I was away, because I only planned on being away for December and coming back January strong, and life didn't happen that way. You know, but now my mother, she's actually walking around without the rollator. She still is tired at times, especially after dialysis. She's tired, and like I said, she's at dialysis today, so she's tired. So she'll be, but she's got more spring in her step. Her appetite has absolutely come back. Her diet is restricted, so we work within the restrictions to try and keep her fed. I've got her exercising a bit more with this resistance band that I got when I was in the hospital, when I had to like exercise again. I used the band like maybe a handful of times, and I was like, no, I have to do more as I push myself to get stronger, because some of us don't have the luxury of taking time to be stronger. We have to be stronger immediately, unfortunately. And I've had that in my life. I've had to be stronger than I should have been at times. So I had to push myself to be stronger. I exercised in ways I should not have done when I was fresh out of the hospital. And I was trying to get my strength back and my weight back on, and my muscle back. And I had to. I had no choice. But my mother, I'm not going to do that with her. She can't do what I was doing. It was also summertime, so I was able to go out. It's been cold and nasty and such, and wet and rainy. The weather's back and forth, and I don't want to have her out in that cold. But now the weather's becoming nicer. It's sunny out, so because she's walking more, I'm going to have her out with the rollator, and then hopefully soon, early spring, we'll have her off the rollator, and she'll be walking more and more, and she'll have the procedure to get the port taken out of her chest, and we'll go from there. And just making her better and stronger for spring and summer, and just doing everything that we can and taking this time. And in this time, I have I've been lucky for the things I've been able to do, and the things I've pulled back on. I pulled back a lot on things. Obviously, like I've said, my time is 90% of it is to my mother, 1% is to work, 1% is for me. So I have I stopped doing the Zion Network on Sunday just because it's later at night. And at that time, I'm trying to get my mother situated for bed, make sure she's good, she's taking her meds, she's eating, such like that. Hopefully, I will get back to doing that, because I love doing the lit pick. It was a great, fun thing. I go on, talk about my comics, and then I'm gone. I love it. Um, Phantom Issue, like I said, we are going and doing that on Saturdays. Still, excuse me once again, folks. Like I said, sleep is something that, there are some days when I'm up at 2 a.m. and I don't sit down till maybe 4 in the afternoon, because getting my mother situated, getting something for her, helping her with something, going grocery shopping for her, for what she's wanted to eat. I've cooked something. I'm standing up eating a lot of the time, and then I sit down to relax. Then I'm back up for if she needs something, what have you. But she's starting to do more for herself, so it's great. And I know that she wants that agency. Um, but yeah, I started doing that. I actually was able to moderate my first panel ever. Was awesome. I got to do it for Virtuous Con. We were the opening act for Virtuous Con as well. It's a virtual con, and it's absolutely incredible. It's amazing. Um, I was asked by Cerise, Rennie Murphy. I was just incredibly nervous but it was so much fun. And the panelists I had were just people that I knew and whose work is great. Regine Sawyer, Micheline Hess, TJ Sterling, Jason Reeves. It was an awesome panel. Loved it. I would love to do more in moderating. It's great. I actually got to do a little bit of research for um, uh, the access guide to Black comic book community. Awesome. I did a little bit of research for that, which was great. So I've tried to vary my talents and such, like, or I should say, I've tried to vary myself so I can increase my skills and just do more and get my name out there more. Couple of other opportunities have been coming up, which I'm hoping that will come into reality in the next few weeks or months even, and I'm excited. And I want to come back here because, like I said, there have been a slew of comic books that have come out. God, I'm gonna look at the list now because the list is ridiculous, but they're so good. We've had more Deathstroke. We've had New Masters, which is one that's come out. The new Punisher miniseries, which has been out. Little Monsters, which is great. Red Tag. There's one called Primos, which is awesome. Um, I got to start reading Radiant Black, Batman the Night, which has been really awesome. Trial of the Amazon started. We also have Nubia and the Amazons, which ended. Stillwater, there's a new one that's called Slumber, and Land of the Living Gods come out. That's just a small bit of what's been out there, not even counting the Kickstarters comics that have been out, that have come out, that I've read, and I've been like, this is fun. I love it. And also the story. I mean, there's been movies that have come out. The Batman came out, which was awesome. Go see it. 3 hours, but go check it out. If you don't go to the theaters, it's going to be on HBO Max April 14th, I believe. Demetrius and the crew at Anyone Comics, they opened up a new store called Everyone Comics in Long Island City. So there's been a lot going on. So I will be back to talk about more. My next episode, I hope I'm going to be doing a review of the new Comixology app and how it works out with Amazon, good and bad, pros and cons. I'm going to talk about it and doing more comic book reviews and such. All right. So everything is good. I've learned about patience. I've learned about pulling back my time. I've learned about giving my time more to things that matter instead of things that do not matter. I've learned more about definitely staying away from a lot of stuff and, enjoying my smaller circle and my bubble. And I've enjoyed it. And that's caused me to pull away from a lot, but it's caused me to look for more quality instead of quantity, and me just challenging myself more. And I've learned that, and I love that. And that's another weapon in my arsenal, another tool in my toolbox. I'm not going to do any more metaphors. I promise. So, folks, on that note, thank you. Thank you for listening. I wanted to, again, be transparent and let you know what's going on, but I'm feeling good enough to the point where I'm going to be coming back. They will be pre-recorded for a while, just because, again, life is happening. They will be pre-recorded for a while, but you can check them out Fridays, 4 p.m. I will be here, and I will be going through my Wellness Check Fridays. I'll be going through comic reviews. I'll be talking about what's on my plate. I'll be talking about geeking on a budget. I will be talking about my bleak perspective as well. And yeah, so that's it. But remember, you can also check out Fan of Initiative live Saturdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube and on this Twitch channel. Most times we'll be live. Sometimes we will be pre-recorded, but we will be there. All right. So on that note, folks, look, do the best you can with what you got, because in the end, that's all that you get. Okay. Have a good one. Eat something tasty, and yeah, just be out there. Okay. All right. Talk to you later. Peace. Y'all gonna get that